Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, performer, producer, and Emmy Award winner. Each week, I bring on inspiring people and experts in their field to have powerful, motivational, and enlightened conversations about relationships, self-development, and how you can love yourself even more. Follow us for daily updates at Love You Even More podcast and at Jackie Brubaker on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. For more on myself and the podcast, including ways that you can love yourself even more, go to loveyouevenmore.com. Welcome, Stacey Scott, to the Love You Even More podcast. Stacey is an inner child healer, and she is a Feng Shui practitioner. And I found you through a mutual friend of ours because Feng Shui is so fascinating to me. I've been practicing it for a while, and that is your jam. You help people redesign their homes to have their lives be better and to heal their inner children, I would assume, since that's part of your title. And I'm so excited to talk to you about this so we can give this audience a nice idea of what it is, but also for people who really do know a lot about it or something about it, a way to really utilize it in their lives in a bigger way, because it's amazing. It's amazing when you move stuff around. Even just redecorating can change the energy so quickly. So Stacey, welcome to the podcast, and I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled. This is my jam to talk about.
Yay. So tell me how you got into this. Like, how did this first begin for you?
Really personally, I was a occupational therapist for over a decade, classic story of burnout and needing to quit my job. I feel like that story is, how most of people's stories start nowadays.
Yeah.
And I decided to take a little spiritual sabbatical, just like quit your job and, you'll figure it out. Classic leap, and then the net will appear. And before I realized it, my brain was starting to really scream, look at Feng Shui. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of this before. What is this?
Yeah.
And a quick Google search literally, blew my mind out of the water, because it really was answering the questions I had been asking myself my entire life about the meaning of home, about why I personally also felt so disconnected to my space. I'm a total homebody, but something just never felt right every single home I lived in. And quite honestly, I blame myself. I blame myself that the home was never good enough. It was never big enough. I never had, enough money to make it trendy enough. And when I started really bringing in the inner child healing, because I had all this shame coming up around my own home and what it looked like, it just really showed me that there's so much more here than just simply moving things around in your home. And when I started doing Feng Shui consults, that became very clear. I would give people, laundry list worth of recommendations. And when I followed up with them, they'd be like, yes, oh my God, thank you for everything. It was fabulous, but I haven't done anything. I was like, oh, that's really curious. And I would start to probe why. And it was really their body had so much resistance to the power and potential that was in their spaces that they didn't feel worthy of it. They didn't feel ready to really allow that power and potential and success and prosperity in. And I was like, oh my God, I have something here. Because personally, this was what I was noticing and then seeing it in my clients. And then I hit the gas, and here we are.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That makes so much sense. I watched some of your videos. Obviously, I've been stalking you for a bit, and I love that you have this connection. So I would like you to describe this for people with when you aren't wanting to like clean your house or organize, or like you really lax on your chores, what that actually is saying, like subconsciously. Let's start there, because I think that's a beautiful segue into like how to redo your home with Feng Shui to create prosperity, etc.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, because that's probably the thing I say the most, that I also get the most beautiful messages around, because I love to tell people like, hey, if you can't in this moment declutter or do your dishes or, tackle your laundry list of to-do items,
Yeah.
I love telling women it's not their fault. And the level of release of shame blows me away every time. Every time I post a video like that, it always goes like either viral or like mini viral. Because I
Mhm.
think inherently, as a society, especially here in the West, especially here in the States, what we've been telling women is that what their home looks like is inherently tied to their worth. And if
Yes.
it doesn't look like what we see on Instagram, if it's not a Kardashian house, we tell them that that is a personal moral failure. And so me coming in and telling them like, hey, that's not a moral failure. Your sense of self-worth is not tied to what your home looks like. Your story can go so much deeper than this surface level of your Pantone paint colors and your trendy decor. Let's get deeper into that story of your home. And by just opening up that door for women, like I can almost sometimes feel the collective release of shame that happens by just someone saying, hey, it's not your fault.
Yeah, I so relate to this because, and I think a lot of women hear it from their mothers or someone who's caretaking, clean your room, do the dishes. You're the woman, like you need to learn how to do these chores. It's just so generationally brought down to us.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I can't imagine most mothers coming into someone's house and being like, honey, this needs to be done, or I'll do this, or my mom has literally moved furniture in my house when she's come to stay with me. I'm like, oh my God. But what I really felt, and this was just recently too, my apartment feels more like a home. It feels more like a little house, but it's like 100 years old. And so
Oh,
there are just things that need to be replaced that truly would require like remodeling. Like my bathroom tile is 100 years old.
oh my
It's
gosh.
beautiful, but it's also cracking and like looking not so great. And it's like it's impossible to clean. And that shame that you're talking about is part of it. It's part of me feeling like I'm not a dirty person. I'm very hygienic, except I can't help that this tile is 100 years old. I don't own this place. So if I want to change it, it's really not up to me. Even if it was up to me, I'm not spending thousands of dollars to change someone else's apartment.
Yeah.
And I actually had this moment with my boyfriend. I was like, I am embarrassed for you to like use my shower because the tile's cracking and all of it. And it just seems like I can't, like, the water and all of these excuses. And I had such incredible shame. And he was like, I don't care. I'm like, but I do. So, like, let's jump off from that because I know that's part of it. Or like the dishes thing, you're right. Like, oh my God, all I hear is like, do your dishes, do your dishes. And if you don't, like, you're bad.
Yeah.
So,
For a lot of us, especially as children, and this is where the inner child healing comes in, chores were used as punishment.
yes.
Clean your room or you can't go play with your friends. Finish everything on your plate or you can't go watch TV. Or you have to learn how to do your laundry or something negative will happen. And it creates this culture of shame. And when we literally live in our homes, our most intimate spaces, the space where we should be able to call every single shot, we should have control over. We can't, control what happens out in the world, but we
Yeah.
can have control over our spaces. So to be almost wrapping ourselves up in this blanket of very internalized shame that you can almost feel down to your bones is not doing us any favors. And I always like to say, which is very hard to hear, but I say it with love, is what you think about your home is what you're thinking about yourself
Mhm.
because you're in such a deep, intimate relationship with your space. Feng
Mhm.
Shui says that you are the energy in your home. Your home can have a little bit of a personality and a flavor of its own, but you are the life in that space. So if you're walking in and feeling just awful over
Mhm.
things you cannot change, to your
Yeah.
point, it's time that we really break this connection between, cleanliness is worthiness and godliness is worthiness, because there's so much inherent in our spaces that we can't change, whether it's financially, we're not able to, we're in a housing crisis right now.
Yeah.
There's so much here, and the nature of home is rapidly changing.
Mhm.
So I'm trying, that's my mission, to break this connection between shame and fear and anxiety and what the home looks like. We can go deeper and really create a narrative of your home that one of one that empowers you and makes you feel good and successful, regardless of what home actually ends up looking like.
Oh, all right. Let's go there. So
So,
actually, well,
yeah.
before you start, let's give like the tiny basics of what like a bagua is and how that all kind of starts.
Yes. So at its very basic, Feng Shui truly is kind of both an applied art and a science when it comes to reading the energy of a space. So if I was doing a Feng Shui consult, I walk in and I start kind of picking up on all of the energy of the home and of the people. And so where a lot of folks start learning about Feng Shui is they start learning how to lay down something called a bagua, which is a Chinese term for an energy map. Now, everyone in their home has 9 separate energy centers. Everyone has the same energy centers, but where they live in your home is different for everyone based on your floor plan. So, as a practitioner, once I lay down that floor plan, I have a much better idea of where your wealth area is, where your career area is, where your self love, partnership, children, where all of that lives. And that helps me help you build up a better narrative of your home. To tell a different story rather than a story of pain, shame, or anxiety, and really tell a story of the success that you wish to see in your life.
Mhm. I love that. So when people, let's just say they like go online and they find the Bagua like map, where do they
Mhm.
put it like in regards to their house? Just for the basics, and then we'll get into the more deeper
Yeah,
stuff.
totally. So Feng Shui can be a little bit like Christianity. It is a very, very old practice. So there's lots of different ways to apply the Bagua. The way that I do it, and I was trained to do it, is to apply it based on the front door of your space. So if anybody's curious in doing this, I do have a free guide because it can run off the rails a little bit in terms of complexity, but you do lay it along the very bottom of the energy map, gets laid along the front door of your home, not the side door, not the garage door, not the door you use all the time, but truly your front door. And again, if anybody's curious, I've got a free guide on my email list.
That will be in the links below, guys. You just click on that. You send that to me.
Will do.
Okay. So going from that, now that we kind of like have the basics, and again, like please go visit her, like her Instagram and your website and all the things, all of those links will be below. Once you've laid the map, what's the first thing people should really start noticing to help change the energy? And
So
also depending on like what energy you need to change, how do you know?
Okay, so I can answer this a couple different ways. So if somebody is just curious, I tell them to leave their home. Don't even worry about laying the bagua. Sometimes that can be like feng shui 3.0. If you are just curious, I want you to leave your home. Leave it for a couple hours. Go shopping, go get a cup of coffee, go hang out with a girlfriend. And then when you come back, I want you to become very present, not just come in, drop the keys, pet the dog, get very present. Really watch your hand open up the doorknob and step over your threshold. What are the first things your eyes are landing on? What does the place smell like if it has a smell? Not saying it's a bad smell. I just want you to notice. Use all your senses here. What do you immediately feel in your body? Part of my work with bringing in the trauma informed lens is helping people reestablish brain body connection. And we cannot do that when we're rushing around our space, which just happens. Life is busy. You wake up, the baby's crying, the dog is hungry, you've got to get to work, you're already late. Life happens. So by slowing down and moving through your home very deliberately, what I tell people is I want you to trace the energy path. I want you to trace how you would normally move through your home, but you do this slow. Where does your body feel pulled to go? What that does, like I was saying, helps you reestablish brain body connection. Because we can almost go, remember that old commercial about going nose blind where like you stop smelling the trash?
Yeah.
We can go a little house blind. We stop seeing the cracks,
Yeah.
the dishes, the good things. We stop seeing the beautiful artwork that we've maybe hung up. And we've got our little energetic blinders on. So by slowing down, opening up, you really start to see your home again for what it looks like in that moment. And that's just a very easy exercise I give almost everybody that wants to start this work to do that and help to reestablish what your body is feeling in your space. Because almost every time people will say, oh, I feel great. Or they'll say, oh my God, I didn't know this room. Why do I feel anxious here?
Ooh.
Because we can live in such a state of disassociation, especially for trauma survivors, which are my bread and butter, my favorite folks to work with. We live in such a state of disassociation, meaning like up in our heads and not in our bodies. We actually don't recognize how our home makes us feel, but we can just tell something's off. We don't sleep well. We're quick to anger. We're, super anxious and we can't put our finger on why. So just reacquainting yourself with the energy of your home.
Okay. So then once you do like more like 3.0, you've got your bagua and you know where your energy centers are and what they mean. I have to bring this up because as you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh. So my bathroom and the tile and the dust and all of the things drives me crazy. That happens to be in my family center of my bagua.
Oh, of course it does. Oh, juicy.
That's where it lives. And I have had last year, almost a year ago, I had a major pipe burst in that room and flooded my house. But it originated there. And also, it stemmed from one of the pipes that connects to, I have a separate tub and a separate shower. And the tub I never use because it's super haunted. And I'm not kidding. I am not exaggerating.
No, you're not. I know.
I'm not. And so like the pipe burst and the whole thing. And that room is where that's where my family is located. So I have tried my hardest to make sure I've done like red nail polish in certain like drains and all kinds of things to try to just help, like not, I don't know, I'm trying to help it. So if someone is looking at their bagua and they're like, yep, this area of my house / life is pretty not great, what can they start to do?
Okay. You bring up one of my favorite things ever. And so I always answer this from a inner child healing and then, which is more of like an emotional, and then a feng shui, which is the more physical. So anytime something breaks in your space or goes awry in any way, I tell people it's your home trying to speak to you. Your home's not out to get you. Your home does not hate you. It only knows how to speak to you by breaking, by something going awry. So it's, instead of getting, which it's very frustrating. This is not to say don't get frustrated or freaked out by a huge pipe burst, but it's always almost your home is trying to tell you something. And usually from an energetic perspective. So you say that this area of your home is connected to your family, and the other energy of that area is also new beginnings. It's a wood area. It's a lot about, it could be a very fast paced area, and it's a lot about getting new ideas off the ground. But the other thing that lives there is also can be family skeletons, things you don't want to deal with in your proverbial closet. So for everyone, they need to kind of do that uncomfortable, potentially internal work and say, have I been trying to do something here? Sometimes the energy of home can break if you're trying to really move that energy through your body. Again, you are so deeply connected to space. Or the flip side of that is sometimes if you're avoiding something, your home can say, pay attention to me, I'm going to break. So you are forced to pay attention to me. What you don't heal persists, right? It's that, I'm saying that famous quote wrong, but it's that same idea. So I always tell people start there, because we can do the kind of physical feng shui things and they will help. But I need you to also do the body-based stuff. And that's why doing both stuff in body and mind plus home is so powerful. When it comes to things breaking, and then from a tangible feng shui, a tangible practical approach, is obviously getting it fixed as best you can. I know that takes time, effort, and money. So I don't try and put that on people of like, you must get it fixed immediately. I don't do a shame approach. Or else, right? Sometimes you can see that in the feng shui world. And I'm like, hey, I get that this takes money. This takes time and effort. And I know that's hard to come by some days. So do what you can to get it fixed. And then you want to lift back up the energy in the space.
Okay.
So this can look a couple different ways depending on where it is in the home. So it's not always going to be a bathroom, right? Sometimes people do this with hanging up artwork. They can do this with new plants. They do this with changing up the color in their space. So there's like a whole laundry list of ways to relift the chi. In Feng Shui, energy is called chi, chi, and we can lift that back up and make it a little lighter in your body so you can do that emotional work that's really underpinning why this broke in the first place.
Ooh, what are some, let's use me as an example because I think it's a really strong example actually.
Yeah.
So obviously everything got fixed and repainted. Um, Ironically, I had, because I knew it was the family center, I actually had these really cute pictures of my mom and I when I was like little. She was giving me a perm, and it's like four different pictures of like the process, and it turns out terrible, which is I thought was hilarious. But I had taken those down before the leak because I still have them and they weren't damaged. But I thought it was funny that they lived there for years, and then I decided to just take them down. But I haven't done anything to the space after the construction, basically. Like, what could I do to help lift the chi in there?
Yeah. So let me ask this first, and it's a little personal, but is there any issues between relationship with mom?
My mom and I are good. My dad and I are cut off.
Got it.
And
Got it. Got it.
this will help. My dad and I were cut off officially May of that year. And then the leak or the the pipe burst in gosh, I guess the last week of August. So we're almost approaching a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever is happening in your life, you will see it reflected in your home. So some things that you can do tangibly, because we won't get into the personals of the energetic stuff, just for your
We'll
own
do that
private.
together
Well,
later.
yeah, that, like you said. So a couple things you can do. You can rehang artwork is one of my favorite things because artwork is really telling a very subconscious story. You can rehang those photos of you and mom. But I want you just to think about what that really reinforces in your body subconsciously. It might reinforce something that you want, or it might reinforce kind of a story that maybe you don't, that you know is already true and you don't want to perpetuate.
Okay.
You could reinforce a story of, I'm here and I'm starting my own family. I have a boyfriend, I have a dog, you know, you're maybe not pregnant, but if you want to get pregnant, like you can
Yeah.
reinforce that new birth of a new family with artwork that has, three or four different, not just people, but things in it. Because
Okay.
what tends to happen in bathrooms, people will put an image of like a single woman, or they'll put an image of a single animal. And for you, where that space is, I wouldn't do like a single figure. I would do multiple figures because this
Okay.
is an area of togetherness and I want to bring a little healing to it.
Okay.
Um, or you could also do this. One of my other favorite ways is with color. So the area that you're in there, the colors that respond to it best are going to be greens, lighter blues, and purples, because
Oh
those
my
are all
God.
connected to the wood element. So you
The
could flip out your
tile
towels and things like that.
the tile is literally violet and green.
Oh,
Tons of it. It's
so you have it
beautiful.
already.
Oh my gosh. Okay, great. Well, at least I'm good there.
Then you can focus on your artwork, especially since if that artwork came down before the flood, it might mean that it can mean a lot of different things. I won't know until like we really dive in and if we do that, but you can really sense for yourself what you want your new area of family beginnings to look like.
Wow.
What
Okay.
you want that story of success or your goals or your dreams, what you want that to look like. And
Okay.
by energetically embedding that into your home, it reinforces a subconscious belief of, well, that's just what I'm going to get.
Mm. All right. I love that. And yes, I want to work with you. It's true. Okay. Let's talk about two other areas of the house that people are always so concerned with, which is money and success. Let's talk about that next and what we can add just like temporarily, because obviously the work is very important about your self-worth and what are you actually doing to achieve this, financial success or career success. But
Mhm.
what are some things that we can add to that area that could, instantly sort of create that momentum, like you talked about?
So interestingly, both your wealth area and your success area, as you called it, which we call fame and reputation, are actually right next to each other. And one of the very favorite things I love about the energy map is not only does it follow the progression, like the wheel of the year, the seasons, I find it also follows the progression of like how we grow and morph into more and more, not only of ourselves, but of successful people every successive year. So, because these two areas are right next to each other, wealth comes first and then fame and reputation. The deeper foundational underpinning to wealth is actually self-worth. And like you said, there's deeper things here. But this is an area, it's not just a corner. I know it gets called a corner a lot, the wealth corner, but it's actually an entire kind of energetic area in the upper left back hand of your home. Again, if you want it, I've got this all in the freebie link, the freebie download that is. But that's an area that, I mean, just from a very foundational feng shui standpoint, it's connected to wood. It loves the color purple. It loves plants. It loves light. It loves like vivacious energy. So this is like a great place if it works in your home to have the dance parties, to put the music, the record player or the Alexa, or whatever it is, how you
Yeah.
play music. This is an area to kind of keep very lively. If you notice that you're like, if you see it in your home and you're like, oh yeah, I don't know, that corner creeps me out.
It's the
That,
laundry room or something.
yeah, that's just an invitation to go deeper into how you view wealth, your relationship to your money, your relationship to really receiving love, money, and support from the world. And then right next door to it is going to be that fame and reputation area, which is an area actually I've worked with extensively in my home, and to the point where my husband benefits quite often every time I make a shift, because like his shifts will come in immediately. And I'm like, damn it, I did that for me. But this is an area that's connected to fire energy because this is about being seen in the world for your natural gifts and talents. So it doesn't always have to be used in the setting of career, but we use it a lot for career. It can be used for just being known in your community as like the go-to person for your chocolate chip cookie recipe, or
Mhm.
it can really be used for being seen and noticed in your career. So this area loves reds and oranges, and I'm going to come back to red in just a second. But it also loves triangle shapes, things that have that really kind of almost uncomfortable upward flowing energy.
Okay.
And the reason I love this area, especially for women, is because we have been told to sit down, shut up, be
Mhm.
quiet, go back in the closet for how many millions, thousands of years. So the one color that I find most women are incredibly uncomfortable with is red. And I say, where's the red in your home? And they're like, no, no red in my home. I can't have red.
Yeah.
And it's like they just immediately want to shut the door on red. And I'm like, I'm not saying paint a whole wall red. I'm not saying change out your bedspread for some red.
Yeah.
But where are the pops of color in your home? Red is very vivacious and powerful. We know that not only from feng shui, but we know that via science now. That's why red light therapy has a lot of now science backing behind it. It vibrates at a certain level that's really powerful for healing. And so when you're missing an entire group out of the from the bagua, and you just your brain wants to shut the door on it, I know there's something deeper there, because to wear red, to have red in your home says, look at me, I'm powerful. And a lot of women are still very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
So this is an area I love to work with my women. Predominantly, my work is for everyone, but I definitely have a lot of women, and just really help them get physically comfortable with the vibration of the color red.
Wow. So interesting. And speaking of red, the last part of the house that, of course, people are going to ask about is love and romance. So, what can we do And I love the part about triangles too in the fame and recognition. I didn't know that. I will be adding some triangles.
Add some triangles.
Um, so for love and romance, what are some things we can add to that section that can help motivate us?
Yeah, so that area, which we have to get into the emotional side of it, there's no way to not, is actually also right after. So it's the very top of the Bhagwa is wealth, fame, and reputation, and then self-love or partnership. So this is an area that's connected to a lot, um, which is interesting because its energy is not necessarily the most powerful in the energy map, but it's connected to so much, to your self-love, to partnership, meaning like a spouse, a marriage, a partner. But it's also connected to mother-daughter relationship. And we know now, especially with, what we lovingly call now in the therapy world, mother wounds, this really can underpin a lot of how we're able to receive love and how we feel about ourselves and how we create a loving relationship with a partner of our choosing. So this is an area where I really support people to not just make tons of changes, because from what I've seen with myself and with my clients, you can make all the changes in the space, but that still doesn't mean you're going to allow that power in. That was a very hard realization for me. I was doing everything in the home and I was getting pissed off because nothing was flowing in. And I'm like, wow, I just spent thousands of dollars and so much time learning Feng Shui, and shit, nothing is working. My husband's reaping the benefits, but ain't nothing working for me. And that's when I really realized I wasn't allowing the power of my home to really get into me. And I had to do that deeper work around my own mother wounds, around my own self-worth, around what was really showing up in my relationship with my husband. So that is food for thought. If you're getting a little squirmy on the inside, it's a good thing. It means there's something there for you to look at.
Wow.
But if we want to move into the more tangible physical things, this is an area that loves the color pink. It is a very soft, feminine, we call it yin energy, which is very, very soft and feminine. And this this area of your home really loves pairs of things, to really call in that energy of somebody else. But I also like to say it calls in the energy of you and your inner child. So by hanging up pairs of artwork, pairs of pillows that are the same color, shape, size, pairs of chairs, especially if you're really trying to call in a partnership, don't just have one chair, have two chairs, have somewhere energetically for that other person to sit, and things like that.
I'm so glad that you've mentioned the self-worth and the self-love portion of it, because I think it's so easy to just think, oh, no, this is about partnership. This is about calling in my other person. But absolutely, of course, you need that self-love, obviously, to call in someone who's worthy of you, who's on the same level as you. I love that. I actually used to have a single, huge, cozy leather chair in that area for years. And I was so attached to it because it felt like a big, huge hug. But I was like, this is not good. This is not good. There's no other chair that matches this. It's all by itself. And I cried like a baby when I got rid of it because I was like, I know I need to like release this because this is truly a huge blockage. And I did. And then I opened the space up.
Yeah.
It feels so different. And my whole love life changed.
Yeah, I bet it did.
It did.
And it's so okay for us to cry over the releasing of possessions, because it's not really about the possession. Of course, you loved this chair. I'm sure it was beautiful. But it's also about releasing the story of you being like, okay, I'm finally ready to like not be this single girl anymore. Like I feel energetically ready to call this in. Yeah. So not only were you releasing a possession that you love, you're also releasing the story, the internal narrative that you were, this single girl taking on the world, or however it was in your brain.
Yeah,
so that's what I find, like, people are like, I get messages all the time of like, I'm crying over this box. Why am I crying over this box? Why am I crying over receipts? This is so stupid. I'm like, It's not necessarily the possession. You could cry over a magazine, or you could cry over a 300-year-old family heirloom. It's not about the thing. It's about you releasing the story that is contained within the thing.
And that, for me, honestly, I think that is the moral of this story. It really is. It's about what is it behind the thing, behind the space, all of the inner child healing that is so important in all of this work to actually create the flow of abundance, the law of attraction to start really moving through not only you, but through your house, which is it should be our safe space. I loved this conversation. I could just talk to you for hours and hours. And I really, really want to work with you. So we will talk after, but please tell everyone how they can find you. Again, all of her stuff will be in the links below, but just if you're, running right now and you're listening, tell people how they can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Sanctuary with Stacey, because sanctuary, duh. Or you can find me on my website at staceyscott.co. And I have all sorts of courses on decluttering and manifesting through your home. And of course, everything has a trauma lens that helps you do the internal work and the external Feng Shui work as well.
Thank you so much, Stacey.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Remember, sharing is caring. Make sure to rate the podcast and leave a review. We really rely on this to help get the podcast out there.